Thank you for joining us today. We are here to announce the unsealing of an indictment in a case charging 8 defendants with human smuggling and conspiracies to commit human smuggling for conduct that placed lives in serious jeopardy. Among those indicted is the alleged leader of this criminal organization, Herminia Serrano Piedra, also known as Irma. Attorney General Garland created Joint Task Force Alpha last year in consultation with DHS Secretary Mayorkas to harness the combined forces of DOJ, DHS, and other interagency partners to strengthen efforts to investigate and prosecute the transnational criminal networks responsible for dangerous and prolific human smuggling activities that exploit and victimize migrants. This indictment demonstrates our commitment to holding accountable criminal organizations that prey upon vulnerable people for profit. JTFA personnel work tirelessly to end the scourge of harmful smuggling and trafficking networks. This indictment is the direct result of Joint Task Force Alpha, led by prosecutors from the Criminal Division's Human Rights and Special Prosecutions Section, or HRSP, and Money Laundering and Asset Recovery Section, along with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Texas. Now, Piedra and her co-conspirators allegedly coordinated the transportation and harboring of migrants from the U.S.-Mexico border near Laredo, Texas, to Austin, San Antonio, and other points in the interior of the United States. This organization was motivated by personal greed, and Piedra and her co-conspirators prioritized that greed over the safety of those that they illegally smuggled. As alleged in the indictment, Piedra's organization transported people in suitcases, repurposed water tanks, and wooden crates on flatbed trucks. They packed people in dangerous, tight spaces with limited ventilation and high temperatures, risking people's lives and safety for money. The sole purpose of this conspiracy was personal profit. It has allegedly generated millions of dollars in illegal proceeds. To this end, the government is seeking to forfeit these defendants' ill-gotten gains, which includes noticing the criminal forfeiture of 3 properties in the Austin area, which were purchased with the proceeds of illegal smuggling activity or used to facilitate the organization's criminal activity. In addition to the defendants' individual criminal exposure, we are also seeking money judgments of forfeiture against Piedra and 2 of her co-conspirators for a total of more than $2 million. Earlier today, in the HSI-led coordinated takedown in which 8 defendants were apprehended, additional evidence showing the scope and the expanse of this human smuggling organization's operations was discovered. For example, Katie Ann Garcia was arrested in Laredo earlier today, and during the course of her arrest, 12 migrants, including 2 minors, were discovered in her residence. Today is an important step in disrupting and dismantling a human smuggling operation that, as the indictment alleges, is endangering the lives of migrants and impacting our communities. It also serves as yet another example of the substantial effort undertaken by Joint Task Force Alpha since its inception in June of 2021. By combining the efforts and resources of numerous Department of Justice prosecutors and law enforcement officials, particularly DHS investigators from across Texas and the Southeast United States, law enforcement actions like this one highlight the level of collective resolve and commitment we have to combating human smuggling. We are marshaling our resources to vigorously target human smugglers wherever they operate with an unparalleled degree of focus and intensity, and we will hold perpetrators accountable. So the message to human smugglers should be crystal clear. You will not be allowed to operate with impunity. U.S. law enforcement will continue to aggressively target you and your illegal operations for disruption and dismantlement. Now, it is important that I acknowledge and express my deep appreciation to our key partners in law enforcement involved in this case, who have worked tirelessly on this matter in close coordination with JTFA's DOJ leadership team and prosecutors throughout the investigation. This investigation has been led by special agents from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Homeland Security Investigations, and specifically HSI Laredo, and Customs and Border Protection, U.S. Border Patrol, Laredo Sector, with assistance from multiple HSI offices in Austin, Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. Additionally, the coordinated takedown that resulted in arrests across multiple districts earlier today is an excellent example of the collective efforts and skilled coordination across law enforcement agencies and sectors. The U.S. Marshal Services, the Human Smuggling Unit in Washington, D.C., Customs and Border Protection's National Targeting Center, as well as CBP's Office of Air and Marine and DHS Office of Inspector General, were all instrumental in ensuring that the investigation to date culminated today in a successful operation. And now it is my pleasure to turn it over to Jennifer B. Lowry, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Texas.
Thank you, Assistant Attorney General Polite. Good afternoon. It is an honor to stand here with our partners to announce this human smuggling indictment of Armenia Serrano Piedra, AKA Irma, AKA Boss Lady, the leader of a human smuggling organization, along with her 13 co-conspirators. Our Laredo office worked hand in hand with each of the agencies here and other agencies not here to bring these charges today. The individuals in this indictment worked together. They conspired together to run and operate an illicit human smuggling operation in which hundreds or more migrants have been transported and harbored throughout Texas and elsewhere in the United States. They did all this for financial profit, nearly $2.3 million. And they did so at a great risk to the lives and safety of migrants they were smuggling. The indictment alleges 6 counts and charges of transporting and moving an alien for the purpose of commercial advantage and private financial gain, placing in jeopardy the life of a person and conspiracy to do so. It also alleges the charges of concealing, harboring, and shielding from detection an alien for the purpose of commercial advantage or financial gain, and the conspiracy to do so. The indictment also alleges a notice of criminal forfeiture for money and property, as Assistant Attorney General Polite spoke to you about. What's important to take into consideration is the dangerous conditions in which some of these migrants were allegedly smuggled. They were in suitcases. They were in empty water tankers. They were trapped under hard plastic truck beds, where the risk of serious injury or death was ever present in all of these situations. This is unacceptable for any human being and will not be tolerated. When Attorney General Garland announced Joint Task Force Alpha in June of 2021, he did so in partnership with DHS. And it was to strengthen the department's overall efforts to combat these crimes based on the rise in prolific and dangerous smuggling emanating from Central America and impacting our border communities. This case emphasizes Joint Task Force Alpha's goal to disrupt and dismantle those human smuggling and trafficking networks operating in El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico, with a focus on networks that endanger, abuse, or exploit migrants, present national security risk, or engage in other types of transnational organized crime. I want to thank our partners in this investigation, the Department of Justice's Human Rights and Special Prosecution Units, the Money Laundering and Asset Recovery Unit, along with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Homeland Security Investigations, specifically HSI Laredo, and the Customs and Border Protection U.S. Border Patrol Laredo sector with their assistance in working these cases, along with the assistance of the other ones that AAG Polite mentioned in his speech today. I look forward to the prosecution of this indictment, along with our continued partnership to work to dismantle other organizations through joint Task Force Alpha, efforts. It's my pleasure at this time to now turn it over to Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security, John K. Tien.
Good afternoon. My thanks to Assistant Attorney General Kenneth Polite for his hosting of us today. And thank you to U.S. Attorney Jennifer Lowry of the Southern District of Texas, and to P.J. Leckleitner, our Acting Deputy Director for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, all for being here. We are always grateful for the hard work performed each day by our colleagues at U.S. Customs and Border Protection. And we could not get the job done without the collaboration and partnership of the Department of Treasury, the Department of State, the Department of Defense, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, whose support has been critical in scaling our efforts to disrupt top transnational organized crime and their threats to our nation. Since April of this year, we have worked with the interagency to bolster our efforts to attack transnational criminal organizations involved in human smuggling at every point in their infrastructure. We have seized their financial assets. We've conducted enforcement actions against their stash houses that conceal migrants. We've impounded their buses and tractor trailers used to smuggle people and seized their illicit cargo, all of which has disrupted their efforts and forced them to change their tactics. At DHS, countering human smuggling is a moral imperative, a law enforcement priority, and a necessity for our national security. It is a central plank of our efforts to address the vast issue of irregular migration across the Western Hemisphere. It is an urgent criminal and border security challenge, one we cannot ignore, one we will never ignore, for the sake of the safety of families in the United States, migrants across the Americas, and communities throughout our entire region. Now let's be crystal clear. Transnational criminal organizations are perpetrating vile and horrific crimes, but both Jennifer and Kenneth spoke about today. They have no interest in any individual's safety, well-being, or health. They prioritize profit over people. They believe in their own bottom line above anyone else's human life. They are a giant, multi-billion-dollar piece of a sprawling puzzle connecting drug trafficking and criminal activity and more across this region. They have become increasingly intertwined with the cartels, and there is increasing evidence of the abuse, exploitation, and violence they perpetrate on migrants. Their sole purpose is to endanger and to exploit, and for too long, they have acted with seeming impunity. We say no more. At DHS, DOJ, and across the Biden-Harris administration, we've made a firm commitment to pour unprecedented resources into disrupting these networks, denying their ability to engage in trade or travel, cutting off their finances, and upending every facet of their logistical operations. We remain unwavering in our determination and unflinching in our message. If you commit the crime of human smuggling, and if you manipulate and imperil and take advantage of struggling and fearful migrants, we are coming for you. We will investigate you. We will prosecute you to the fullest extent of our laws. We will leave no stone unturned until we end your nefarious practices. DHS is proud to co-lead Joint Task Force Alpha and put our promises into action to combat human smugglers. And this investigation to Irma is exactly what we envisioned when we launched this task force with the Department of Justice. Indeed, this operation saw DHS and our extraordinary personnel at our finest, all of us utilizing the core building blocks of our most effective policies and efforts. First, partnership with the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office, with our interagency colleagues, with our teams across DHS at ICE HSI and CBP. Persistence. There have been nearly 5,000 arrests of the criminals involved in the TCOs that conduct human smuggling since April of this year. This marks an increase of over 500% in disruptive activities against the TCOs from this point last year. Third, expertise. We have seized 7,603 kilograms of drugs since the program launched in April of this year. And we do this all with courage, with bravery, with skill, with integrity, and an unmistakable focus on our mission to safeguard our homeland, our people, and our values. And let me just add that the collaboration you're seeing here on stage goes even further. U.S. Customs and Border Protection has shown great leadership by empowering operators across the interagency with the intelligence, tools, and support to root out transnational criminal organizations. They have personnel dedicated to Joint Task Force Alpha and Operational Sentinel via their National Targeting Center, again, that Kenneth talked about, who in turn work hand in hand with our colleagues at Homeland Security Investigations and with DOJ, because they operate in communities along the border every single day. They work closely with our partners in Mexico and on our side of the border to help publicly identify individuals involved in smuggling. And of course, U.S. Border Patrol support for these investigations is so critical, whether that's analyzing post-interdiction events, identifying material witnesses, or exploiting technical information. Standing alongside my colleagues from HSI, DOJ, it is my sincere hope that the successful efforts of this joint task force, that they echo far and wide across the region and set a clear precedent for further bold action against those who endanger our security. We're going to continue to see more of these efforts on and on. Thank you all for your leadership. And now, it's my honor to introduce a key colleague at our department representing ICE's Homeland Security Investigations, the lead federal investigation agency for human smuggling, my colleague, PJ Leitner, the acting deputy director at ICE. PJ.
First off, thank you, Deputy Secretary Tien and DOJ colleagues. Good afternoon. I'm Patrick J. Leitner, as stated, Acting Deputy Director for ICE, HSI. Our agency is proud of our special agents in Homeland Security Investigations and the work they're tirelessly doing in the United States, across the globe, to protect Americans and our citizens through criminal investigations, preserve national security, and public safety. I stand with my fellow partners to express my appreciation for the collaborative work of Joint Task Force Alpha that resulted in today's announcement. This group, along with our colleagues from Customs and Border Protection, shows just how successful we can be when we prioritize partnerships and collaboration. As a lead federal investigative agency for transnational crime, HSI special agents employ a full range of effective law enforcement techniques and border-related authorities to combat human smuggling by eliminating the profit motive, seizing assets, and maintaining strong partnerships. Smugglers and traffickers are opportunistic, greedy, and often operate as transnational criminal organizations utilizing sophisticated circumvention techniques. These networks move groups of people to locations where they feel there's a high probability of successful entry without law enforcement detection. Meanwhile, they dehumanize people and treat them like commodities. That's unacceptable. Let today be a reminder to all. If you are going to engage in this type of criminal activity, your organization is not invisible. You will be exposed, your network will be dismantled, and you will be brought to justice, as happened today. Taking down a transnational criminal organization requires extensive collaboration and cooperation, and we thank all our partners. Crimes of victimization and exploitation are a central piece of HSI's victim-centered approach. We encourage anyone with information about these criminal networks or anything affiliated to call the HSI tip line at 866-DHS-2423. All calls are confidential. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
And now we'll take some questions. If you can please just identify yourself, your media affiliation, and who you're directing your question to. Jessica.
Hi, this is for Assistant Attorney General Polite. Thanks so much for having this. I'm with CNN. My name is Jessica Schneider. So I know that all of these defendants were arrested here in the United States. However, one of our reporters down at the border has been hearing that there have been arrests and possible extradition of smugglers from other countries. Can you tell us about that effort, what the numbers are in terms of arrests and possible extraditions, or if that's in the works?
That's a great question. Oftentimes, these types of operation do involve multiple arrests in multiple jurisdictions, including international jurisdictions. Today, this press conference, as we sit here today, we're announcing the arrest and unsealing of charges against only 8 defendants, all of whom are within the United States. Otherwise, I will not be in a position to comment about other activities related to the investigation.
Can you tell us if extraditions are happening or if that's something that might be in the works?
I'm not in a position to comment further on those efforts.
Do we have another question?
Yes, it's Quinn Owen with ABC News.
Yes, sir.
What more can any of you there can tell us about the victims here, the scope and scale of the victimization here, and any more details about the methods that were used?
Certainly, and I will open it up to any of my colleagues to add additional commentary. But we have alleged that this particular organization was responsible for the smuggling of at least hundreds, if not thousands, of potential migrants. The types and means of that trafficking, of that smuggling, are also reflected in the charges, as we referred to earlier, smuggling in small crates, unventilated boxes, unventilated vehicles that certainly jeopardize the safety and livelihood of those individuals. To my U.S. Attorney, I don't know if you have any additional commentary, Deputy Secretary.
Might just reinforce what Kenneth spoke about. I mean, we spoke about it today. There were 12 people, 2 of them who were minors as well. But this is representative on so many different levels of human smuggling, and there are usually hundreds. And so these smugglers likely represented hundreds of migrants, if not thousands, over the course of the past several months, if not years. And you've seen this in other places, and certainly in the horrific action that took place near San Antonio, where 50-plus migrants died in a tractor trailer. And these are the kind of ways that smugglers really treat these human lives with no respect to their human dignity. Thanks.
Okay, we'll take another question. Jay,
Hey, so are you, I know it's not in the document, but are you investigating to see if maybe these methods did result in any deaths that could further, get more serious charges?
That we certainly follow the facts that these investigations unveil to us until their end, including ultimately if there are any allegations or substantiated findings related to potential deaths caused by this particular organization.
At this point, there's no indication of a potential death. Is that right?
Correct. That's correct.
next question. Eileen?
Hi, Eileen Sullivan with the New York Times. I was wondering if you could tell us how long this particular organization has been operating, as far as you know, and what happened to the migrants that were discovered when you arrested one of the...
Certainly. What I can share with you is that the investigation here began last summer. As to the potential migrants, the actual migrants here, I would turn it to my colleagues, Deputy Secretary, Deputy Director.
Yeah, thank you. The investigation is ongoing, and those migrants that are involved, we determine individually whether they will remain or they will be removed, depending on the individual circumstances. And there's a lot that goes into that, depending on their status as an adult or a child, and whether or not they can, be a material witness or some other factors that go into that. So that investigation is still ongoing. But I will say, I just add on to that there's a lot of talk about victimization and how many. It's fair to say that one is too many. So we always approach this victim-centered, and we go after it no matter if there's 1 or 100 or 1,000.
Next question.
Hi, Perry Stein, Washington Post. Can you say how many arrests you've made in the U.S. since Alpha began in mid-2021?
Task Force Alpha has been responsible for the arrests of approximately 120 defendants, many of them representing the leadership of these types of organizations. Of those 120, Task Force Alpha has been involved in the conviction of approximately 50 of those defendants.
And those are U.S. defendants?
That's correct. We're referring to individuals primarily here in the United States.
We'll take one more question. Ken?
Yeah, this is another topic, if you'd indulge me. Ken Delaney with NBC News. Millions of Americans are reading and hearing today about significant criminal investigative steps taken by the Justice Department against associates of the former president. I know you can't talk about the specifics of that, but as the head of the criminal division, can you say anything that can put into context for the American public what the Justice Department is doing here?
Certainly, Ken. Thank you for the question. And again, what I would reflect upon is the leadership of our Attorney General, Garland, who was instrumental in establishing this task force. He has spoken clearly and eloquently related to this issue as recently as August 11th, where, again, the Attorney General shared that it is important for us to preserve all relevant evidence in that investigation and any other investigation. And otherwise, we will continue to speak through the work in the filings of the Department of Justice.